They say stone has a memory, that certain minerals, under enough pressure, under enough trauma, can record the events that happened around them, like a tape recorder made of granite. If that's true, then the sandstone walls of the old Idaho Penitentiary in Boise, Idaho, aren't just walls, they are split-screen, frozen in time for over 101 years, from 1872 to 1973. This place didn't just house criminals, it broke men. It was a meat grinder designed by architects who mistook cruelty for justice. Old Penn was so notorious for its brutality that even today, visitors report an overwhelming sensation of dread just stepping onto the grounds. The horror began with the construction. The prison was built by the prisoners. They were forced to quarry the massive sandstone slabs from the nearby hills. The Table Rock area, day after day, swinging pickaxes under the blistering Idaho sun, or in the freezing high desert winter, carving out the very stones that would form their own cages. Every block in that wall represents hours of agony. The architecture itself is so oppressive. Roman style, heavy, looming. It was designed to make a human being feel small, to make them feel buried alive. And for many, that's exactly what happened. The general population faced overcrowding and disease. But if you broke the rules, you went to the cooler, solitary confinement, a concrete box, no light. In the winter, the temperatures dropped below freezing. Men were stripped naked and thrown in, sometimes for weeks. You didn't just sit there, you froze. You hallucinated in the absolute darkness. You listened to the sounds of your own mind breaking. Later, they built something even worse. A cell block they called Siberia. 12 3-by-8-foot cells. The only ventilation was a few small holes drilled near the floor. In the summer, it was an oven. The heat would rise, suffocating the inmate. It smelled of sweat, waste. Historians confirmed that guards would sometimes drop tear gas grenades into the ventilation system of Siberia just to hear the men choke. They would sit back laughing. But the darkest energy in the old pen is called the Rose Garden, a pretty name for a patch of ground used for executions. 10 men were executed here, 6 by hanging. The most infamous was Raymond Snowden in 1957. They called him Idaho's Jack the Ripper. He brutally married a woman on a Boise street. But the pen had a way of making even justice horrific. When the trapdoor dropped beneath Snowden, his neck didn't break. Witnesses watched for 15 agonizing minutes as Raymond Snowden slowly strangled to death at the end of a rope. He gasped, he kicked, he fought for air that wouldn't come until his heart finally stopped. It is said that near the gallows site, you can still hear the sounds of gasping, the desperate sounds of a man who wouldn't die. By the early 1970s, the conditions were so medieval, so inhumane, that the prisoners finally snapped. In 1971, and again in 1973, massive riots broke out. They burned several buildings to the ground. The smoke of burning mattresses and old sandstone filled the valley. The old pen closed forever in late 1973. Today, it's a museum. You can take tours, but when the sun goes down and the tourists leave, the stone remembers. The agony, the freezing cold of the cooler, the heat of Siberia, the 15 minutes of Raymond Snowden's strangulation. It's all here, locked inside the walls they built themselves.